Afternoon and welcome to Let's Talk Poultry. My name is Rebecca Tierney and I'm the Poultry Advisor for Teagasc. I'm delighted to be bringing this webinar series to you, our poultry producers, offering up-to-date and timely information on a wide range of topics. All of this series and previous series of our webinars have been recorded and are available on the Teagasc website or our YouTube channel. Today I'm joined by representatives from Balcas Energy, Colm, Paula and Gerard. We're going to discuss what biomass is, how you can save money through a swap to biomass, what the carbon tax is going to mean for us in the next 10 years, and the fuel options for biomass boilers. As always, I want to draw your attention to the Q&A tab at the bottom of your screen. I want you to submit any questions you have for the Balcas team, and we'll answer these at the end. On September 22nd, I will be joined by Tech Nutrition to look at the options for moving away from soya and layer diets and balancing the amino acids. This is a topic we are going to need to focus on as we move towards reducing our footprint through dietary changes, but we need to be mindful to not disrupt the bird's needs. So without further ado, I want to introduce Paula Keelagher, Colm Hatton and Gerard Owens. Paula Keelagher joined Balcas in 2006 when wood pellets were a very new concept. And over the last 15 years, Paula has helped develop the wood pellet market in the UK and Ireland. Paula previously worked with the local council for 10 years in their energy division. Colm is the business development manager within Balcas Energy. He has more than 30 years experience in a number of roles in the fast-moving consumer goods industry. He has been working for Balcas for just over 2 years now and holds a renewable energy expert certificate from the European Energy Centre. Colm wants to focus on helping Irish businesses to transition from fossil fuels to carbon neutral wood pellets. And finally, Gerard Owens has been with Balcas for 4 years now. He's one of their engineers, part of the customer engineer team in the Balcas Energy department. Gerard will assist both customers and the business development team with all things technical. So Paula and Colm and Gerard, I'll hand over to you now to share your screen and to start your presentations. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Rebecca and Teagasc, for this fantastic opportunity to inform your poultry clients of how they can decarbonise their sites, save precious money and reduce their carbon footprint. Speaking also today with me will be my colleagues Gerard Owens and Colm Hatton. So why are we here today? Why does it matter? These headlines sort of speak for themselves. Last chance to stop climate catastrophe. Irish businesses face torrent of change as climate crisis bites. Code red for humanity. Red alert, climate report has oil is death now. So everyone needs to do their bit, and biomass is one of the solutions that can help reduce your carbon footprint. Balcas, who are we? Balcas Timber have two operations, one in Enniskillen and one in Invergordon in Scotland. We were established in 1962. We're manufacturing over 60 years. We have £100 million per annum turnover. We have pellet manufacturing plants in both Enniskillen and Invergordon with a total output of 170,000 tonnes per annum. We process 1 million tonnes of sustainably sourced logs every year. We have our own forestry team and we have a mix of short and long-term contracts to guarantee timber supply with Quilcha and the Forestry Service in GB and Northern Ireland. 30% of our raw material is sourced from private landowners. We have over 360 employees directly employed, and we indirectly have another 300, that's like subcontractors, etc. as well in Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland. We've been part of the SHV group for many years. Recently, SHV have agreed to sell Balcas to Glennon Brothers, which we're very excited about. Glennon Brothers are a family-owned Irish business with sawmills in Longford and Fermoy in Ireland, and Edinburgh and Troon in Scotland. They have timber frame manufacturing engineer in Arklow and Troon also. The sales process is ongoing at present and subject to approval by the Competition Authority in Ireland and the UK. that gives a sort of an overview of our business in Enniskillen. Our industry experience, we're here to talk about wood pellet biomass as replacement heat source for fossil fuels in poultry production. We've been manufacturing wood pellets since 2004 with quite a bit of experience. And one of the things we understand greatly is that time is precious for farmers. I've particularly 15 years experience in the wood pellet market. Balcas pioneered wood pellets in GB in Ireland. I've personally been involved for 15 years with Balcas, and I'm very passionate about the agricultural industry, being from a farming background. Particularly understand the time constraints farmers experience, and as time is of the essence. Some farms are one-man shows. The advantages of wood pellet system is that the fuel is uniform and relatively hassle-free. A delivery of full load of wood pellet lasted 1 hour compared maybe to 4 hours for wood chip. We have a lot of experience, as we said. We supply over 1,000 poultry houses in Northern Ireland and GB. Those houses use over 45,000 tonnes of fuel per annum. That generates 200 million kilowatt hours of heat and produces 160 million birds. These pictures just show some of our sites we currently supply. The first picture on the left is a delivery to one of the poultry houses in Northern Ireland. This is a rigid truck. Well, most of the poultry houses have an animal feed silo, an agricultural silo. The picture on the right, top right, is one of our happy customers with his birds in the background. The third picture on the left, bottom left, is delivery to a commercial site like a school or a hotel, and that's one of our articulated vehicles. And we have a fleet of articulated and rigid vehicles, and we can service a small school up to a farm, depending on what the requirements are. So I want to hand over to Colm Hatton now, my colleague, to move on.
Thank you, Paula. I have a couple of slides here about what is biomass and how it works to decarbonize the atmosphere, but I also have a video which I think will explain it a lot better.
How biomass works. Biomass is the name for a range of organic materials that can be used to produce energy. Examples include forestry products, energy crops like miscanthus, also known as elephant grass, and agricultural byproducts like straw. We can generate heat or electricity from biomass in a way that is close to carbon neutral over the material's life cycle. To understand the environmental benefit of using biomass, let's look at how fossil fuels like coal, oil and natural gas are created. Plants absorb carbon dioxide or CO2 from the air as they grow. When they die, some of the carbon from the CO2 remains trapped in the decaying vegetation. Over millions of years, these buried layers of vegetation are compressed and transform into either coal, oil or natural gas. The carbon that was removed from the atmosphere is effectively locked underground. Now let's look at two ways you could heat a house. The first example uses a fossil fuel, coal. Coal is extracted from the ground and transported to the house. This process produces CO2 emissions. The fuel is then burnt, providing heat. CO2 from the fossil fuel is released into the atmosphere, increasing CO2 levels. Coal reserves are being depleted and atmospheric CO2 levels are rising. This life cycle is unsustainable. Let's look at a biomass alternative, in this case, wood. A tree grows absorbing several years' worth of CO2 from the atmosphere. The carbon from that CO2 is trapped within the tree. Firewood is harvested and transported to the house. This process produces CO2 emissions, and we will come back to these later. The wood is burnt, providing heat. The CO2 absorbed by the tree is released back into the atmosphere. New trees are grown and the cycle continues. The fuel is being replaced and CO2 emissions are minimal. This life cycle is sustainable. CO2 emissions from processing and transportation can be offset by growing more biomass than is required for fuel. We have shown how biomass can heat a house, but the idea can be scaled up. Instead of using the wood for heat, it could be used in a power station for generating electricity. To be environmentally beneficial, the life cycle must be well managed. If we use biomass faster than we grow it, we end up with more CO2 in the atmosphere and deforestation. This is unsustainable. If we grow enough biomass to replace what is being used, we have a sustainable system. It would even be possible to reduce atmospheric CO2 using this model. Well-managed biomass can be regarded as a source of renewable energy.
So that's a good example of how biomass works. Our wood pellet fuel is manufactured as a co-product of our sawmill in Enniskillen. The other co-products are construction, agricultural and pallet timber, and these lock in CO2 from the sustainably harvested forestry. Manufactured using 100% green electricity and green heat from our on-site CHP plant, which is fueled by forest residues and sawmill waste. As a manufactured product, our wood pellets offer a consistent quality fuel that cannot be matched by other forms of forest biomass. Our Balcas Energy wood pellets are very much a product of the circular bioeconomy. Nothing is wasted. And I have another short video here which explains it very well. Our wood pellets are manufactured to the EM plus A1 standard, which is the international standard for wood pellets. Indeed, on all the key criteria, our pellets come out ahead of the standard. We're part of IRBA, the Irish Bioenergy Association, and our pellets have the Wood Fuel Quality Assurance Scheme approval. We also obviously have EM plus, and all the forestry that we use is FSC, the Forest Stewardship Council approved. The advantages of Balcas Energy wood pellets versus other biomass fuels, for example, wood chip at approximately 30% moisture content, are we have a calorific value of 4,800 kilowatt hours per tonne versus the wood chip with 3,490. So we have a 38% better calorific value, which makes our pellets much more efficient. Our moisture content is coming in consistently at around 7.5% versus 30% for the wood chip. So we've 75% less moisture content. This gives us a consistent product, which is always the same. Our ash content comes in at 0.3% versus a minimum of 0.5% for the wood chip. If there was more moisture content in the wood chip, which in most loads they would have, it would be a mixture of different moisture contents. So it'll be more than 0.5%. So we have a minimum of less than 40% less waste coming from our product. Our bulk density is also 672 kgs per cubic meter versus 207 for the wood chip. This gives us a much smaller footprint, so much less storage space required for the same amount of fuel. The fuel handling system for wood pellets is much more efficient, where we use an auger versus a swinging arm for wood chip. Wood pellet boilers are the most responsive and closest to fossil fuel-based boilers in their maintenance and operation. And the heat generated is drier than direct fired gas heating and creates a healthier environment for birds. Our wood pellets make us a natural leader in sustainability. We have 4 trees planted for every one that's harvested. Our pellets are produced using 100% renewable energy. Over the last 10 years, we have sold more than 2 million tonnes of wood pellets, displacing more than 1 billion litres of imported oil, equating to more than 3 million tonnes of carbon savings. Our product is produced to consistent, rigorous standards. So we provide a viable renewable energy that's available now, and we have made renewable energy a reality for every business. So you ask, what has that got to do with all of us? Well, I suppose there's no planet B. We only have the one planet. We haven't done a great job of minding it so far. What happens next is up to all of us. We can't change the past, but we can influence the future. The Irish government has committed to reduce carbon emissions by 50% by 2030 and to be carbon neutral by 2050. Biomass will play a key part in achieving these targets. They've very much adopted a carrot and stick policy. The stick is carbon tax increases up to 2030. Carbon tax is the tax you pay on the carbon emissions generated by burning fossil fuels. Through the Climate Action and Low Carbon Development Amendment Bill 2021, the Irish government has committed to increase carbon tax from €33.50 per tonne at the moment to at least €100 per tonne by 2030. This will be achieved through incremental increases every year by approximately €7.50 per tonne up for 10 years. And that €7.50, if we're not hitting our targets in any particular year, the government has given themselves the option to actually increase that by more than €7.50 in any particular year. So €7.50 is only a guide, and that's why we say to at least €100 per tonne. The chart there shows the two red arrows. The first one shows the probably the rate of carbon tax you'll see on your fossil fuel bills at the moment, depending on what you're using. And then the second red arrow shows what that will be in 2030. So I suppose the key one there is, if you look at oil, it's about just less than 8.5 cents per litre at the moment in fossil fuels. But by 2030, that will be more than 25 cents a litre. So that's a sobering thought. The overall impact on that over the next 10 and 15 years is that oil will cost you an extra €125,000 over the next 10 years. And that is regardless of what the price actually does. That will go up by that much just on carbon taxes alone. LPG will be €112,000 extra, and natural gas will be €89,000 extra. Sorry, that's for 1,000 megawatt hours of heat, for 1,000,000 kilowatt hours of heat. Over 15 years, that will be €238,000 for oil, 213,000 for LPG, and 169,000 euro for natural gas. But there is also a carrot in the form of the support scheme for renewable heat. Now, we do know there was a previous webinar where this was gone into in detail by people from the SEAI, so I'm not going to go into that. I'm just going to give an indication of what funding could be achieved through the SSRH. So the support scheme for renewable heat is a government-funded initiative designed to increase the energy generated from renewable sources in the heat sector. The scheme is open to commercial, industrial, agricultural, district heating, public sector, and other non-domestic heat users. And once agreed, payments are guaranteed for 15 years. So you can see the chart on the left there shows you what the tiers are, so the maximum that could be paid out for any business if you were using that amount of heat. For what we're talking about today, I think most people will be in the first two tiers there, up to about a million kilowatt hours. And for that amount of heat, a qualifying business will be eligible to claim up to €38,120 per annum. We have an example here of a poultry farm, which is based on some information on Teagasc Fact Sheet Energy 12, 2020 Energy Efficiency in Poultry Units. So if we give an example of 4 by 1,300 square meter sheds, 25,000 birds per crop per shed, 7.5 crops per annum. So production is about 187,500 birds per shed per annum, and total production would be about 750,000 birds per annum. It's about 1.227 kilowatt hours per bird, and that's based on information from SEAI. So the total heat demand is 920,250 kilowatt hours per annum. If you were using LPG to generate that heat, you would need just over 140,000 litres per annum at an approximate cost of probably around 43 cents a litre. It's probably a little bit more than that now because prices have gone up significantly lately. So just over 60,000 euro per annum in fuel. And then the kilowatt hour cost per bird is around 8 cents. Indicative pricing for the equivalent heat using wood pellets will be about 7 cents per kilowatt hour per bird. So there's about a 7,800 euro per annum saving there. The slide shows what the potential carbon tax increases will be for that amount of heat. The chart on the left there is just showing every year the 750 increase and where that goes. So for 140,300 litres of LPG, we'll have 214 tonnes of carbon generated. The current cost at €33.50 a tonne is €154 per annum. €7.50 increase, €7.50 increase per annum is just over €1,600. And the 2030 cost for at €100 a tonne would be around €21,354. So there you can see in plain sight, it's about a 3 times increase up to 2030. The 10-year cumulative increase will be €86,484, and the 10-year total cost of carbon will be €157,593. The 15-year cumulative increase will be €158,500, and the 15-year total cost will be €264,364. And again, these numbers are assuming that the cost doesn't go above €100 per tonne, but it more than likely will. The SSRH then for that amount of heat will be, we're talking about 920,000 kilowatt hours. So it's about, you get the full amount on tier 1, which is 16,980, and you get 18,732 in tier 2. So the total per annum will be €35,712. So over 10 years, that's €357,000, and over 15 years, that is €535,000. I'm now going to hand over to my colleague, Gerard Owens, to go through some of the technical aspects of our wood pellet biomass fuel.
Thanks, Colm. Okay, so just to, in summary then, what we can offer, what we're about. So focusing obviously on the energy department, we locally source all our wood pellets, the raw material, the fibre is all sourced locally from sustainable managed forests. So this will have an impact on, it's a lower carbon footprint as opposed to importing wood pellets. And we've all local distribution depots all around GB and in Ireland. And this has a reduction impact on the amount of transport there is, which it improves the quality of the wood pellets. We produce EM plus A1 grade wood pellets. This is the highest qualification of wood pellet available. We have a rigorous under the EM plus wood pellet authorities. There's a rigorous quality testing scheme. Our pellets are tested during and after production. Again, under EM plus, we are audited on an annual basis as well. So there's an independent expert that audits our processes, so that we're in compliance with the regulations and legislation that go with EN plus. We supply fuel to a range of boilers, and over the years as well, we've built up a good relationship with a number of boiler manufacturers. On the logistics and delivery side of things, we have over 50 dedicated delivery vehicles all over Ireland and NGV. The drivers are very competent and experienced. They regularly attend internal and external training. And then the equipment and the drivers themselves are very, they're very equipped to deliver to a range of stores. That would include like an agri style bin or a self-build bin. The delivery itself, all the lorries are set up to deliver. It's on like a pneumatic 4-inch pipe from the lorry to the store. It's a very safe delivery. It's convenient in terms of footprint and space that's required as opposed to other biomass deliveries. And then it's not as noisy. It's the impact in terms of noise as well. It's pretty efficient there. In terms of support, like we have a dedicated team, a customer support team. The process all the wood pallet orders, schedule all the lorries, and for any other general inquiries. We also have a dedicated in-house engineering team that provide the technical support, whether it's quality related or logistical related, or any general inquiries about boilers or pellets. We also offer the service of remote monitoring, and we also have a dedicated maintenance team for a number of boilers in our distilleries in Scotland, so you can tap into that as well. For each area around GB and in Ireland, there's a dedicated key account manager. So whether it's general inquiry, a cost related, or any new project related, you'll have a support there of dedicated key account manager, and then will be supported by a technical support manager as well. So in terms of the benefits, focusing on the 4 aspects of our wood pallets, in terms of efficiency, maintenance, and economic and environmental benefits, our pellets are, they are really, really consistent as opposed to other biomass fuels. This slide there, the picture there of just highlighting the parameters as opposed to the EM plus parameters, they're way over and above of what's required. For even like the moisture there, the moisture 7.5%, and that's really consistent. We have data here that we've collated over the period of the years, and it shows a really good level of consistent level of moisture, as well as the other parameters. And then this all goes in hand with running a biomass boiler, wood pellet boiler, in relation to the maintenance side of things. Having a really good quality of fuel, it's going to have a reduced downtime on the plant. It's less frequent cleaning, and then there's a reduced risk of any formation of any clinker. And this is going to benefit your business, because the last time obviously your plant's down, it's ultimately just going to have a positive impact on your business. From Colm touched on the financial incentives, but there's also practical economical benefits compared to other technologies available. With a wood pellet boiler, there's be a minimal disruption, on, for example, on your existing power services. For example, an air source heat pump or a ground source heat pump, there's not only the running costs, but the upgrade and infrastructure, but a disruption on the civil side, and obviously the costs associated with that as well. The wood pellet boiler is very dynamic and efficient at higher water temperatures. So for any of the poultry farms, the flow and return temperatures to be more associated with a low pressure hot water system. So your flow temperatures and hot water temperature 80 degrees and 70 return normally. Depending on the design, obviously, some cases maybe 70 flow, 50 return. There's other technologies would struggle, at then kind of temperatures. and where a wood pellet boiler, it's really efficient at them kind of temperatures. Using a wood pellet boiler as opposed to direct fossil fuel systems is going to have a benefit as well on your end product, what ultimately is your bird. Using direct fired fossil fuels, you generate a carbon and water within the shed, which ultimately it's not as rich environment as opposed to using wood pellets, a wood pellet system. So, and then on the environmental benefits, using a high grade wood pellet boiler and a quality fuel, that ultimately this is going to have low emissions, and then it's going to have an improvement on your bird welfare as well. Next slide, please. So a few photos here of our energy cabin. The energy cabin on the left side there, it was prefabricated off-site, so it was done on a factory, and it was just loaded in a crane. And this serves all the heating through it for our offices. It doesn't have to be a prefabricated cabin. There's a number of poultry farms they deliver to, and they use some of their existing buildings to install the plant and house the wood pellet plant. On the photo on the left as well, you see like an agri bin, which is probably the more popular bin, particularly with poultry farms. And this is one we would highly recommend, mainly from a maintenance and cleaning point of view. It also facilitates better as well with for mass flow, so the wood pellets would they would distribute better into the feed system. So you have you have much less risk of any issues with quality. And then the photos on the right, you have this are taken inside the energy cabin. So you have your wood pellet boiler, which is in the middle photo, and then you have the buffer vessel, the storage vessel, which stores all the hot water that's generated indirectly via the wood pellet boiler. We from a operational point of view, I mean, we empty the bin, the ash bin, probably once every 10 days, so it's really easy to maintain. What's also in that photo there is there's a jump. You just want to jump back there a wee minute, Colm, sorry. There's a gas boiler as well. It's used very little throughout the year. Just on a weekly basis, we'd run the gas boiler just to ensure that the pump associated is running okay and everything's healthy. So in the event something did happen, it's operational. And what's not in that photo as well, and then what's important, especially if you're trying to integrate a new wood pellet system into an existing system, is the use of a plate heat exchanger, which allows you to exchange the energy or the heat from the buffer vessel that's distributed from the buffer vessel into the space, whatever you're heating. It allows you to, whenever you put in a new system into an existing system, sometimes there's that risk of hydraulically unbalancing the system. The use of a plate heat exchanger allow you to have the two systems still separate but exchange the energy as well. Next slide, please, Colm. Yes, so we also have the facility to remotely monitor our boiler as well. There's the platform that we use. It's the Mayonetta, so it's a manufacturer that's able to provide that platform. We can remotely go into the boiler as long as you have a decent internet link. You can go in and manipulate the boiler and check the components. It doesn't necessarily have to be the boiler, but you can go and check the buffer vessel and any other associated components, checking for alarms and there's any issues that may arise. And then on the photo on the right, we're currently trialing a fuel monitoring system. We're able to monitor the consumption of the heat, the consumption of heat used over the duration of the weeks and months, and we're able to calculate the fuel that's used, which then can assist our scheduling team, to consistently top up the boiler or sorry, the store, so there's no we're not running out of fuel. And this system, this type of system can be adapted for any new related systems as well. It just has that peace of mind, so you're not having to worry about about any risk of running low on fuel. Next slide, please, Colm. So as well as LPHW systems, we have 4 steam boilers in Scotland. Probably 75% of our wood pellets are used in commercial industrial applications. The steam boilers in the 4 steam sites in Scotland, they deliver about 6.5 kilograms of steam per hour, and they're rated up to about 4 megawatts. Our role is to monitor the sites, for any repair work, or any reactive repair work, or an annual shutdowns and routine maintenance. We have a dedicated maintenance team. There'll be call out to each of the sites whenever required. There's also other technologies available. The wood powder burner, the photo on the right there, that would be catered very well for any variable loads. So any, this kind of technology will be more associated with outputs 5 megawatts and up. The process is slightly reversed, that the wood pellets are grinded like a powder dust. So again, very, very good in terms of variable loads, and they can be incorporated into the existing boilers as well. So depending on some sites are suitable and some are not. Again, this is a screenshot of our front end of our steam boilers in Scotland. The photo on the left is our boiler. We can go in and remotely check to see is any, how is the boiler performing, is any alarms on it, and then we can remotely control that as well. And then the photo on the right is a screenshot of the silos. So we use this here to assist the scheduling team and the distilleries to ensure the silo levels are maintained. Okay, I'll just hand you back now to my colleague Colm.
Thanks, Gerard. I just want to go through now some of the options that are available from Balcas Energy. So we can do basic fuel supply, where if you already have a boiler and you're looking for wood pellets on a one-off basis, we can supply that. We can do the same thing, but basically over a longer period of time, where we'd have a fuel supply contract and we have an agreed price for a set period of time. The big benefit, I think, in this industry is possibly our energy supply contract, or ESCO. This can be client funded, Balcas Energy funded, or third party funded installation. So we work with the client from day one and are involved in the entire process, including selecting the best installation partner for the project, selecting the best boiler and size, and get involved in the system design. We can help with the SSRH application, the boiler and infrastructure installation and commissioning, fuel supply, obviously, and then ongoing maintenance and servicing, which is very important with a biomass system, that it's well maintained. The heat is billed monthly per metered kilowatt hour, and the SSRH payment goes directly to the client from the SEAI. For Balcas Energy funded installations, the CapEx and finance cost is charged monthly to the client over an agreed period of time, which would usually be 10 years. We just have a model there, what this could possibly look like. So the per annum cost of the boiler and finance, possibly around €32,000. The total cost over 10 years then is €320,000. Your 10-year maintenance cost will be €20,000. So your total overhead cost over 10 years is €340,000. In the same time, looking at the model we had earlier, so your 10-year fuel cost savings would be around €78,000. Your additional carbon tax savings would be €86,484. And your 10-year SSRH payment would be €357,000. So your potential total savings over the 10 years are €521,900. So after 10 years, your net present value of the system is about €181,900. Obviously, the savings don't stop after 10 years. So your fuel cost savings up from years 11 to 15 is another €39,000. Your carbon tax savings are for the next 5 years are €72,000. And your last 5 years of your SSRH payment will be around €178,560. You obviously have maintenance as well for that period of time, so that's another 10,000 it's going to cost you. So your net present value for that model after 15 years is about €461,680. So your average annual savings over the first 10 years are €18,190. And your average annual savings over 15 years are just over €30,000. The specific benefits of an ESCO or a fuel supply agreement from Balcas Energy are that you would have significant monetary savings on your energy bills, protection from carbon tax increases, significantly reduced carbon footprint, enhanced green credentials for your business, protection from fossil fuel price fluctuations, and a guaranteed security of fuel supply for the term of the contract. You have peace of mind that Balcas are the largest manufacturer supplier of wood pellets in Ireland and the UK. We supply thousands of domestic, commercial and industrial customers across Ireland and the UK, and we supply every type of heat from domestic hot water and space heating to fully integrated industrial steam solutions. We are the only wood pellet producer on the island of Ireland certified EM plus A1 from production right through to delivery. We'd always include a service and maintenance agreement in the contract. So the value of that is if the boiler isn't working and generating heat, then we're not getting paid. And you as the client then are protected from unexpected breakdowns and system downtime. In summary then, what we can say is that COVID-19 has dominated society for 18 months, but the next big challenge is going to be climate change that we have to take on. The Climate Action Bill is published and carbon emissions targets will be by sector. There will be regular reviews to ensure targets are hit, and if they're not being hit, the increases on the carbon tax could be higher than indicated. And every sector will be obliged to play its part. Any business with an end-of-life fossil fuel boiler is particularly well placed to avoid future carbon taxes and benefit from SSRH funding. If you have to replace your boiler anyway, why wouldn't you do it and get paid to do so? Balcas Energy have a strong track record across multiple sectors in Northern Ireland and Great Britain. We are well placed to assist Irish businesses to reduce their carbon footprint and avoid carbon tax increases. And our capex-free ESCO option makes wood pellet heat viable for all. There are the contact details for Paula and myself. They're also available on our website, balcasenergy.com. And we're more than happy to talk to anybody. And the model that I showed you there, we can, with very basic information, we can run that model. We just need to know what fuel you're using and what your annual consumption is. If you want to tell us what price as well, that would make it, we can do a better cost comparison. Thank you for that. Thank you, Rebecca.
Well, thanks so much, Paula, Colm and Gerard for your presentation. Brilliant to see the effects that changing to biomass can have in terms of saving on carbon tax and also taking advantage of the SSRH. So on that, I guess we know carbon tax is there now at the moment, and massive increases coming in the next 10 years, 15 years. So for someone that may not be eligible for any particular reason for the SSRH, do you feel there's going to be enough reason for a producer to swap to biomass without being on the SSRH scheme?
Yeah, there absolutely is. Obviously, the SSRH is a huge financial incentive. But if you think about it this way, carbon tax savings are not going to stop after 15 years. We've used 15-year model there because that's the length of the SSRH. But your carbon tax savings are ongoing forever as long as you're not burning fossil fuels. You're saving that tax. Also, what is the rate of carbon tax going to be? We know it's going to be €100 in 2030, but after that, it's probably going to go up every year still after that, or possibly could. So that's always there. So the numbers we've given are for 15 years because that's the SSRH and for €100 a tonne, but is our belief that it will be a lot more than that. So there definitely is savings to be made there. Also, your boiler doesn't stop working after 15 years. And we've mentioned that we would also always recommend that you use a combination of a quality fuel like Balcas Energy wood pellets and a quality boiler product, and maintain as well, have a proper service and maintenance contract within it. And if you do all that, there's no reason why you couldn't get 20 plus years out of your boiler. So you're going to get, like, you have a long time to get the payback on it, and you're going to continue saving. So you're going to have a lot of period of time where all you're doing is buying the fuel to go into it or paying for the heat that comes out of it. You're not going to have to be, replacing boilers after 15 years. So definitely it is something that is viable even without the SSRH. Might be over a longer period of time to get the payback, but it definitely is viable.
Brilliant. Yeah, I suppose you're dead right in terms that we don't know when the carbon tax will increase past that €100 per tonne.
Yeah.
So I suppose we were looking at wood pellets versus wood chips. You mentioned the consistency of the product can often not be there. So just in terms of how important moisture content is for the heat produced, and also then if someone has a wood chip boiler and they're thinking, just maybe I made the mistake, I should have gone with a wood chip or a wood pellet boiler, is it possible to swap now to a wood pellet boiler?
And we have a number of clients on our books, Rebecca, who have changed over from wood chip to wood pellet, and reason being is moisture content, uniformity of the product, and also breakdowns and blockages. Balcas manufactured to the ENA1 plus standard, okay, and moisture content is less than 10%. Typical good wood chip, you can be looking anywhere, 20%, 30% moisture. There's a big difference in the moisture. It's a big difference in the particle size as well. Our wood pellets are manufactured 6 millimeters, and that's what you get all the time. Most boilers, wood chip boilers, can be converted depending if they're dual fuel. Most of them are dual fuel. The main thing is actually the storage vessel. What kind of storage vessel do you have? Most wood chip deliveries or tip deliveries are elevated in, whereas wood pellet deliveries are blown in. And typically you'd have an auger bringing the pellets into the boiler, whereas with a wood chip installation, you probably have a swinging arm bringing it in. So some modifications cost a few pounds to change over, but it has been done.
Brilliant. So there is that option for those that wish to maybe.
Yeah, very much so.
Brilliant. And I suppose just in terms of wood pellets, is just a question there in relation to the current of blockages. So obviously you've mentioned that wood chip, it's going to be an inconsistent size, blockages can occur. You mentioned that the pellets are your 6 millimeters, they're all consistent. Do blockages occur from time to time? And if so, is there an alarm system in place to tell our farmers?
Yeah, we have, every system is going to get an issue at some stage, depending on what it is and how it's fed, all that sort of thing. Most boilers are linked to GPS, or linked maybe to the customer's telephone. Some of our poultry farmers have their boiler linked to their phone. If there's an issue, the phone flashes or sends them a text message. They can then go and look. Sometimes manually they can maybe unblock it if there's a blockage. Very rarely this happens. Or they can check and see what's wrong and ring their boiler installer. And most boiler installers would have a link to the boiler as well. Newer type boilers, if there's any issue, it flags straight away. And also we always recommend to have a backup system as well, so the backup boiler can kick in so the boilers aren't jeopardized anyway with no heat.
Brilliant. Yeah, that's really important, especially when you're on boilers.
Yeah, very much. It's a critical user.
Yeah, or even breeding turkeys, the heat is.
Yes, of course.
So I want to thank you all for your time today. I really appreciate you putting your presentations together and delivering those today. As always, the presentation has been recorded and will be available on the Teagasc website after. So I hope to see you all on September 22nd for our next webinar. So mind yourselves and bye-bye.
Thanks,
Thank
Rebecca.
you. Bye now.